Today's lesson is on compare and order rational numbers. All right, here's our first example. So we are comparing a negative to a positive. Negatives are always going to be less than the positive. So this is a pretty simple one. I can show you that negative 1.2 is here. And I can show you that 0.8 is here. Negative 1.2 is closer to the less than sign, and you can even see the less than sign. So negative 1.2 is less than 0.8. Here's our next problem. So now we're comparing two negative numbers. So let's go ahead and put these on the number line. So I have negative 1.40. So that would be negative 1. It's not quite at a half. It's a little bit less than a half there. So this would be a negative 1.40. And then the negative 1 and 25 hundredths would be a quarter of the way. So it'd be right here. So negative 1.25. And again, let's talk about which one's less. So this would be the less. This is greater, right? So we're going to look at the 1.40. So the 1.40 is going to be less than it. So we're going to put that less than sign. It is more negative, or you owe more money if you want to think about it that way. If you owe more, that means you don't have as much money. So I need to compare this negative 3/8 and negative 5/16. So I need to go ahead and write my graph. I'm going to first split up my number line into eighths. So how I do that is I'm going to go ahead and put 0 here and put another line here, and this will be negative 1. And I'm going to divide it in half, so that gives me halves. If I divide the halves in half, that gives me fourths, and divide it again, each one, and that will give me eighths. I'm going to go ahead and label them. All right, now that I have my eighths, I need to find my 16ths. So to do that, I'm going to divide the eighths in half, and that will give me my 16ths. So now I'm going to go ahead and label my 16ths. As you can see that I have multiple numbers that are equal to each other, or fractions, because they're equivalent fractions. So now let's go ahead and plot our points. So I have negative 3/8, and I'm going to plot that one right here. Next, I have my negative 15/16. So I'm going to find that, negative 5/16, and I'm going to plot that here. So I'm going to start with the one on the left, which is negative 3/8, and that is actually closer. I don't want to pass that other one. So it's closer to the less than sign. So then I'm going to use that less than symbol. So negative 3/8 is less than negative 5/16. All right, here we are comparing decimals to fractions. So the thing you need to do is change get them in the same form. So I need to change that 8/15 into a decimal. So I'm going to put in my calculator 8 divided by 15. And I get 0.5333 repeating. And you can just rewrite that as 0.53, the bar. And these are negative, so I'm going to put a negative on there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my number line. So let's go ahead and graph the negative 51 hundredths. So negative 51 hundredths is about halfway, so I'm going to go ahead and put negative 0.51. Next, I need to graph my negative 8/15. Now remember that is negative negative 0.5333 repeating. So that is actually more. I'm owing more, so it's actually closer to that negative 1. So I'm going to write negative 8/15. So I'm starting with this one, 51 hundredths. So that one is actually closer to the greater. So negative 51 hundredths is greater than negative 8/15. All right, so I see that I have this set, and I see decimals and I see fractions. So I need to change my fractions to my decimals, or just get it all in the same form. So in this case, I'm going to change this 22 25ths by dividing 22 divided by 25. When I do that, I get 0.88, Well, so that would be 0.88, and then I have negative 2 as my whole. And for this one here, I would have negative 2, and then I have 1/10. To do that, I could just put 0.1. That means 1/10. So let's go ahead and graph these numbers on the line. So negative 2 and 4/6, that's about halfway right here. So I'm going to put negative 2.46. Next, I have negative 2.88. So that is a little bit closer to 3. So I'm going to put negative 2, and I'm going to put the original in there, 22/25. And then next I have negative 2.1. That's closer to negative 2. So I'm going to put negative 2. Instead of 0.1, I'm going to put 1/10. Now it says order from greatest to least. So I am going to go greatest. And I'm going to move this way. So the first one I see is negative 2 and 1/10. And always remember to put the sets in what they are originally. So if I have the decimal, I don't want to put this number. I want to put the original one that was in the set. So now I have negative 2 and 46/100. Finally, my last one is right here. So I have negative 2 and 22/25. And that is my final answer. All right, number 6. Mr. Plum's science class is growing plants under different conditions. The table shows the difference from the average for some students' plants. Order the differences from least to greatest. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on the number line. So I have 3 1/4. So 3 1/4 would be about right here. Next, I have negative 2 and 2/10. So negative 2 and 2/10 is a little past negative 2, so negative 2.2. 1.7, so I'm going to go to the right. It's close to 2, so 1.7 goes here. And then finally, I have negative 1. Oops, this is supposed to be and 7/10. So negative 1 and 7/10 is closer to that negative 2, but not past it. So negative, I'm going to put it down here, 1 and 7/10. All right, so it does say from least to the greatest. So we're going to be going this way. The first one that I see is the negative 2.2. The next one on my list that I see down the road is this negative 1 and 7/10. The next number that is on my number line is that 1.7. And finally, the last one would be the 3 1/4. And this is from least to my greatest. And that's it. Good luck on ordering rational numbers.